Welcome to the Jen Cares Powered by Chozen Live podcast, a podcast that brings the community to you. Each week, we feature a guest that will help us stay in the know. We are here every Monday at 8 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to like, comment, and share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now here's your host, Jen Cares.
Well, good evening and welcome to Jen Cares Powered by Chozen Counselors. I am your host, Jen Cares, the founder of Chozen Counselors, a nonprofit organization that seeks to inspire, motivate, empower, and strengthen individuals and families. As always, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in, for liking, for sharing, for commenting, catching a replay, all of that. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you're watching on Facebook, please be sure to like and follow so that you can always see when we go live. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe as well. So again, I do appreciate each and every one of you. As this is Black History Month, we again have our Black History Month person of the day. And today's person is Dr. Mark Dean. Mark Dean is an American inventor and computer engineer. He developed the ISA bus and he led a design team for making a 1 gigahertz computer processor chip. He holds 3 of 9 PC patents for being the co-creator of the IBM personal computer released in 1981. Now, if you had an IBM computer, we're not going to talk about your age, but today we honor Dr. Mark Dean for our Black History Month. Woo-hoo. So, friends, I hope you enjoyed last week's segment as we had Tyra for Financial Balls. So many great tidbits that she shared, reminded us that faith and fear cannot coexist. I had to keep that with me all week. But I also enjoyed the piece of don't let your job kill your dream. Friends, whatever it is that you're dreaming to do, don't let anything kill it. Today, I had the opportunity to participate in a career day, and I can't tell you how exciting it was just to be able to share with the young people of tomorrow what it is they want to do. But check this out. Some even said they want to be a therapist. It did my heart glad. I said, oh, how did you find out about being a therapist? What made you want to be a therapist? You know, I want to listen to people's problems. Come on over, sis. Come on over, my friend, because it is so needed to be able to listen to people's situations and help them process through. So tonight we conclude our Boss Up series, and we have the amazing Dr. Tina Scott. I am so excited to have her on. She is doing some amazing things in the community, and she'll share about them. She's empowering clinicians, and she is a mental boss, okay? So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Dr. Tina.
Hey, hello.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm well. Dealing with this crazy weather, but I'm doing okay.
You know, I'm trying not to complain only because winter has been kind to us.
Yes, most definitely.
But I totally get it. At least we're inside, so we're not getting wet right now. So we'll take it.
That's right.
So, yes. So over here at Jen Cares, we always start with a quote of the day. And today's quote of the day is, "There is hope, even when your brain tells you there isn't." John Green. Again, there is hope, even when your brain tells you there isn't. What are your thoughts on that quote?
Wow, you know what? Your brain could be telling you some positive things and some negative things, right? And oftentimes we hear that negative voice, but it's good to remember that it's hope in spite of what voice is winning on that particular day.
Hope in spite. So that brain get us in trouble. I read a book one time and said the battlefield of the mind.
Whoa.
And because we're talking about mental boss here. That's the control center. You know, that mental boss. To be able to be a boss, we got to have that piece together, because if it's scattered.
Yes, that's the area that most people get hit first, right in their brain, right in their head.
Friends, as always, I will prepare some questions. However, be sure to drop any comments or questions below as we get this conversation started. And can we just go back to right there about that mental and that brain, and how if we're not careful, somebody called me today and she was like, she got into her head of thinking that she's not able, she's not qualified, and like just down on herself. And that's one of the main stoppers that can stop us.
Too much into like the negative voice, we can think that the negative voice is right, but we don't often hear that positive voice. For some reason, we scrutinize that more And I remember watching a cartoon show. It was I forget the name of it, but it was a negative team and a positive team. And it was one voice saying you can't do it, and then the other voice was saying that you can. And we have to have a made up mind that no matter how low the positive voice is, we got to hear it so we can keep on pushing and keep on going in the direction that God has purposed us to go.
We gotta keep on pushing, and that's so good. It reminds you like the angel and the little demon. One time you could do it, you can't do it, and that's the daily battle that we have. Then they came out with the little braces. What would Jesus do? Whatever works, you keep your mind.
Yes,
but it's hard. What causes people to, we say our good days outweigh our bad days. I won't complain, but sometimes the bad days seem to overpower the good. Why does that happen so often for us? You think?
Again, it's a mindset. Sometimes it's easy for us to focus on the bad because depending on where we came from, that's all that was poured into us. People point out the negative things about us, right? And then when it's probably only good because it was some fluke somewhere. That's why I like working with my clients, having them do their I am statements. I am awesome. I am amazing. I am enough. I am right. Because even if you don't 100% believe it, when you say it out loud, and guess where it comes back to? Right back into this control center. So the Bible tells us what a man thinketh, so is he. So we want to put those positive thoughts out there so it can come back into here.
Yes. The mental boss is already dropping nuggets. Dr. Tina, can you tell us just a little bit about who you are? What is it that you do and all that jazz?
Okay. Well, I'm Dr. Tina Scott. I have my own private practice where I specialize in anxiety, depression, and breakups. I also have an organization called Clinician Think Tank and Clinicians Pray, where the focus is just empowering clinicians from all over the world. And the reason why I found that to be so important, I remember just feeling like I was on an island by myself. I hated that feeling. And it wasn't too many people that I can turn to and talk to. So I thought it was important to provide and supply a safe place for clinicians, people that look like me, so we can come together and just iron sharpens iron.
That's really good. I was sharing, I did a career day today. And when I was talking to them, I was talking about how sometimes when you go to a therapist, depending on the therapist, sometimes you feel like they don't understand what it is you're going through. Something's happening if I don't feedback a little bit. Do you hear it?
I can hear you fine, but I did hear something a little bit.
Figure it out. It's this rain. Go away.
I know. It's messing up the vibes.
Yeah, it's disrespectful. But we were talking about how like sometimes you can go to somebody and you feel like they don't understand what it is you're going through or they can't relate and things of that sort. And it's so nice that you provide that safe space because in the therapy world, it's not as when I was going to school, it wasn't that many African Americans in my class and things of that sort. So it's so nice to be able to connect with others, just in general, to hear their stories. Those that are in the field as well, because I also had teachers that weren't actively in the field, so their teaching level came from a different place of being in the field, actually doing the work, and just being like the book knowledge of it, right? So to be able to have that time where it's a safe place where they can come together, like, oh, this client really wore me out a little bit. I didn't even think I was gonna make it through. Or it looked like it was really going left. Because I've had some couples, I was like, oh, I don't know if they're gonna make it, but we're gonna keep on riding.
Yes.
And it works out with that thing. So it's so cool to have that.
That collaboration is key because you said something that was important. Like, I'm working with a client. I'm not really sure if I'm going in the right direction. You skilled, you got it all that you need. But sometimes it's good to be able to talk to another skilled, talented person, especially when that looks like you. So you can just bounce some things off because you want to always go into the room stronger and better. So that's what it's all about. But I think sometimes many of us get that imposter syndrome, thinking that if I ask the question, then I'm going to be found out that I don't know all that I should know. But we all know when we go to school and get a degree, we're on fast track of learning. And then we have to implement. We realize there's certain places that we need to pause and spend a little bit more time with those areas. And that's what we do. We allow ourselves to pause and really get into a lot of those things.
It's so important. And I also often share with people about the importance of, like, though you go to school for something, things change, new things come out. So always just staying on top of your game, knowing different ways and hearing from others. Like, this worked for me. This is something that you could try too. It's so great. So kudos to you for that. Amazing.
Thank you.
So So why did you go into mental health? Like, was that always a dream?
You know, it's so many ways I can answer that question. I was a senior healthcare exec for years, loved what I did. When I was just continuing my education, I just really wanted to understand why people act the way they act, right? And then when I realized that getting an MBA or whatever, that wouldn't give me that information. So I went and got my degree in counseling. And when I went through there, I thought I was going to learn a lot about people, but I learned a lot about myself. And when I learned a lot about myself, it allowed me to be able to interact with people on a much better level, right? Because, people can push buttons. People can really have you go to this one emotion called anger very quickly if you don't know how to regulate it and if you're not self-aware. So
Yes.
it was just God's plan for me, to be perfectly honest with you. It really was, because when I graduated with that degree, I had a horrible experience at my school, and I was like, bag it, I ain't doing nothing with it. And then I went to Christian Stronghold and got another perspective, from a biblical perspective. And all my teachers was like, you spot on, and they were like hard teachers, like teachers that people was afraid of. And they was giving me compliments. I was like, I guess this is something that I'm supposed to be doing. But it just took for me to fall in a hard part of my life, where I lost my job and I was fired. And during that time, God spoke to me, and he was just telling me, do this and do that. I was like, all right, God, I'm going to do it. But I ain't going to do well. And like, take the licensure. I took the licensure exam and passed it. And when I passed it, I asked the lady, I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? I had that I was going to fail. But God was just like, I know the plans that I have for you. And really, I started listening, and I started really being obedient. And to be perfectly honest, I just think it's a calling on my life that God has put on my path, that I just kept trying to detour, because I wanted to do what I wanted to do. But God has a way of shaking things up and redirecting your path.
He has a way of shaking things up, man. Oh man. But yes, I thinking that you're going from one thing to the class, like, yes, I'm going to go so I can help people. But when it really gets you, when we used to have groups, it was like, oh, wait a minute. I need to test you my own self. And then we were doing, I can't think of the term for it though. But it was similar to the lioness blanket, the objects that we had that we hold dear to and things of that sort. I can't think of the word, but it was the object and things. And I was like, I had my Cabbage Patch. And it was like, well, normally people get rid of it. Well, I don't get rid of my Cabbage Patch. I still have Sheldon. He is very much part of the family.
Yes.
And how, our attachments and things and how we hold dear helps us to also understand other people too. How you got your little nicks and quacks, they got their nicks and quacks.
Yes.
And help you empathize and sympathize. Because we're all the same. We just bounce back differently, responding differently.
Yes. When I go to different trainings, and even now when I go to trainings and the teacher is teaching, the professor is teaching, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm struggling with the same thing. And they like, excuse me, this is for your clients. I like, no, I got to know that first before I can help anybody else, right? So I'm like, yo, I do that, I do this, and I'm listening. I find that when I'm so real with myself, and I'm able to look at how Michael Jackson in the mirror and see my ways and see how I show up, it allows me to be spot on with my clients. So when I'm in training, I'm like, I'm all like taking it like it's me, that's my thing. And it's helpful for me.
Yes, absolutely. Like, I'm here for it because, sometimes, we speak from experience and things that sort, and sometimes we do know, and sometimes we don't know. But when you know a thing, like, we're going to use this because, as soon as you can spot it, be like, oh, let me pull this tool out of my bag that they can use and things of that sort. So cool. So cool. Yes. But that's cool too, because you're saying you're going to trainings and things of that sort. How important is it to keep yourself connected? Like, you being a leader of a team that comes together for this safe space, but you as an individual making sure that you stay on top of it.
Oh my gosh, it's so important, because again, my motto is iron sharpens iron. When I connect with other people, my irons are getting sharpened. And it's allowing me to be better for myself. It's allowing me to be better for my colleagues, my friends, my family. So I think connection is important. Connections matter, right? And when you connect, you just get to see things outside of your lens, right? Some are good and some are like, but whatever it is, you just get to see it and then like digest it for yourself. So it's necessary, in my opinion. And I think with COVID, it kind of stopped a lot of the connection, right? Many of us are striving and yearning to be connected because it's needed. Because
Mhm.
I don't like feeling like I'm on an island by myself. That's why I was excited when you invited me on, because I said this is a good time to connect with you. So it's a blessing, right?
Yes, yes. I love it. I love it. I gotta figure out what this mic thing is. Now it's not doing it. Okay. Disrespect. Don't be like this, guys. This is a good conversation. So, all in all, I like to every so often have a mental health piece because I always want to normalize mental health and the importance of acknowledging it, being aware of it. I was talking to the youth today, like when your feelings, how many people know when they're upset? How people know, but even when you are upset, why are you really upset? Because you could be upset, but it's a little bit more than that. Like if you're tired, you're cranky and things. So what's our emotional intelligence and things of that sort? What's your thoughts, or how do you help people to understand the importance of being emotionally intelligent, being able to identify the feelings and why they have the feeling?
I think
Because if
it's
I'm angry,
important.
am I just angry?
Yes, and you nailed it. Whenever I ask people how they're feeling, their emotion they can relate to the most is anger, right? Because that's what people expect. Like it's easy to connect to that. I don't really have to be real vulnerable, right? So what? And it's funny. I have clinicians here tonight, and they're going over feelings. We put a bunch of feelings in a big old bowl, and they pick them out, and then they start processing them, because it's important that you know that anger is not the only emotion. You could be happy, you could be sad, you could be disappointed. There's a spectrum of feelings. There's a spectrum of emotions. It's important that we tap into all of them, because sometimes our brain will say I'm angry and really we're hurt. Allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. And people wear the shirt saying vulnerable is the new sexy. I don't know how sexy it is being vulnerable when you snot nose and crying, but I definitely get the understanding of this shirt. Vulnerability is necessary for us to actually heal. So understanding the spectrum of feelings is important. And if you don't really want to do it with other people, you can just have a bunch of feeling cards and you come in for the day, put them on the table and grab the ones that you feel like you can really relate to, process it and journal about it, because it's all about that inner healing.
Yes. The feelings, because angry is not the only one. And it's funny because when I meet my staff for supervision at work, I say, how are you doing today? How are you feeling? They're like, good. Good is not a feeling. And I put out a feeling chart to really, again, be able to identify how you are feeling, because good is easy, but it's really not a feeling. I'm feeling happy. Oh, what has you happy? Because if it's something that makes you happy, how can we be more happy more times than not? If I'm sad, what is it that's causing to be sad? How can we change it? And that's the goodness of processing what that feeling is. And again, even clinicians have to process how they're feeling. I am upset because I met with Johnny, and whatever thoughts you have towards it, you have to process that. Why? Because when you meet with Johnny again, you want to make sure you're present and available to really help them with what they're going through.
And it's funny that you say that when you ask people their feelings and really allow them to go deeper. I also ask them to scale it. I'm like, so on a scale 1 to 10, how you feeling today?
Yes.
I like doing the scale stuff. I said, well, 10 is the highest, 1 is the lowest. Plot yourself, right? And oftentimes they say, I feel like I'm a 5. And I'm like, what does that 5 represent for you? Because it really gets them to start talking. To challenge them. What does it take to get from a 5 to a 6, right? Because there's something in our minds that is blocking us, right? And then there's something behind us that we felt that was pulling us back. When we identify those things and take care of the boogeyman or the boogie monster, whatever thing you want to call it, it allows us to continue to progressively go into the direction that allows us to be our best self. And I'm saying I'm living my best life, because that's what most of us want to do.
So good. Friends, those that are listening, will listen, will share with somebody else. That's a simple thing that you could do. Identify what your feeling is, and then scale it to find out where you are. If you're closer to 1, we want to kind of talk about that, process that. Even if we're below 5, sometimes you want to just keep an eye on it. But if you're a little higher up, that could be good depending on what that feeling is. But again, knowing where you are, because that helps you to know if you can be around people or not.
Yes. And then if we go too low, we should have a support system. Identify your support system while you like happy and all that. Get that contingency plan. So when you realize that you're a 4 heading to a 3, that's when you gotta start making some phone calls or texting people and let them know when you text that how you need them to show up. Because some people show up, you're like, why you show up like that? That's not what I need. But it's important to let people know, like, what do you need from them? Just come over, sit with me, come over, talk with me, cook for me, whatever it might be. Just during that time, this is what I need from you.
Oh, can we sit here for a second? Because sometimes people do need our support, but they don't know how to support, right? Because or they're supporting and you're feeling like they're not helping me, but they've been there, they done did all these other things. And it's really important, it sounds like, to be specific in what it is that we're seeking from them.
Yeah, it's important because, you know, people normally give you what makes them happy. So in their mind, they're coming in, all right, here you go. You like, what? So it's important that you tell people, especially the people that you call your crew, this is what makes me happy. This is what I need. Because if not, they're just going to give you what they're capable of giving you. And you're like, I don't want that. And they don't know. And then we have brokenness on both sides. Somebody's trying to help you. You're rejecting it. Whereas we got to tell them when we're in a good time. So when they're coming in bad times, they know how to show up.
I love this. This gives me so much joy because, you know, I always have conversations with people about, you know, with the love languages, right? So Gary Chapman did this book, amazing book. And though it's a good blueprint of where to start, right? So you have the words of affirmation, physical touch, receiving gifts, quality time, acts of service. And if your love language is acts of, is receiving gifts, and you're always giving gifts to somebody else, that doesn't mean that that's their love language. So again, really finding out what helps that person to feel love. Because you might like receiving gifts, but they don't like receiving gifts. So the same of what it is you need when you're going through, you have to let them know and find out what that person needs to feel love, what that person needs to know that you're there to support them through the process.
Yes. And when you do know, do it. Because sometimes we know, like, oh, let me just get these roses. It's easy. No, she don't like roses. She want a bracelet, right? So it's like important. It's important that you connect with that. And then when people know and they don't do it, I just call it selfish. Especially when I deal with my couples, I'm like, that's so selfish that you want to do A, B, and C, knowing that you likes this. And then you're getting upset when there's a conversation about it. Just own it and just try to fix it. Those love language tests are crucial. My husband did one and I did one a long time ago and I still have his. And some of the things that he wrote down that he asked that he wanted, I'm like, I give you that. And when he broke it down, I was like, oh, maybe I'll give it to you that way, right? So understanding like what it means to the other person versus just assuming that you know, because when you assume, you know what they say. So we don't want to assume.
So good. I like question games and things of that sort. So I have some that I always order to just like spark icebreakers and things of that sort. And one of the things was he asked a girl, what's something that I could do more of that, you know, you feel good? She was like, tell me I love you. I mean, tell me you love me. And he was like, I do tell you I love you. He said, tell me more that you love me. So again, these are different questions. And when somebody tells you and we don't do it, that's disrespectful. That's rude.
Yes.
Because you want them to do what it is that you want, but you're not going to do what they want. How that work?
Yeah, it is cruel. And then you expect positive results when the other person is just looking at you like, really? And in relationships, that could be a big put off. And I think it's important that we deposit in each other's love bank, right? And if we're not thinking it, that means we're taking stuff out. And eventually we're going to have a deficiency in our account. So it's important to pay attention.
Friends, I know that the love day has passed, but it's still love month, and love day should actually be every day. Yes. So whether it is a romantic relationship, platonic relationship, work relationship, whatever relationship, entanglement, shit, okay? We want to be mindful of what it is that helps that other person to thrive as you're sharing with them how you thrive. And a lot of times we're showing them how we want to be loved. We're showing them how we want to be treated, but they're also showing us. So make sure that we're paying attention to give them what they need as we're requesting what it is that we need. This is so great. That whole part, I just love it. I just love it. But let me sit there just a second longer too, though. What is, because it is Love Month, and you know, like people get the hoopla of the day, but it goes beyond just that day. That's like Mother's Day. It goes beyond Mother's Day. It goes beyond Father's Day. It goes beyond Christmas or Thanksgiving. Although it's a specified day for it, it still is an ongoing thing of being thankful, remembering Christ's birth or remembering a birthday and things of that sort. What are some words of wisdom for those that are in relationships that are hitting like a little rocky path?
Okay. So I think it's important identify what's causing that rocky path, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because too often we don't communicate effectively to each other. We all know how to communicate, but we don't communicate effectively. So if there's some rockiness in a relationship, I think two people have to be mature, right? And not go into the discussion trying to figure out and point the finger. I think sit on your fingers and just lean in, just find out what the problems are. Because if it's rocky, it's something rocking that boat. And we want to be very, very careful that we don't sink that boat. So we effectively communicate, we effectively actively listen, and then we put our pride to the side. I'm telling you, a lot of that stuff can be worked through. I'm not going to say it's just going to be totally gone, but identify what's rocking it. And if it's, listen, and if you, don't be ashamed to own it. Like, oh, shucks, it's me rocking this boat. I thought it was you. Because I tell you, sometimes I would blame my husband. I'm like, ooh, it's me.
You started it when you say mature.
Yeah, you have to be mature, because if not, we'll start handling things like children. You know how children handle things. When you get mad, you pick up your marbles, you leave, you give something to somebody, you taking it back, you saying words that you probably can't even really say or even sound right, but you know you just want the other person to be mad. So like handle it like mature adults. If that's a problem for you, that's when therapy and coaching comes into play.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't do better because we haven't been shown better. So you need to stand on somebody's feet that can really help you through those things and not blame yourself for not being where you feel you need to be.
Ooh. My friends, if something is a little rocky, be mature, not petty.
Yes.
Right? Because if you value the relationship, you want to keep it going. So you want to find out what is going on so that it can stay afloat. Sometimes it is you got to look at the person in the mirror.
Yep.
Sometimes it's them, but it's not about I told you so. We want to win battles so many times. And sometimes can we just come to an understanding of how we're going to go forward, with it? Do we have to win? Is it about winning all the time?
Yeah. Oh, you nailed it, though. So many people want to win. At the end of the day, listen, at the end of the day, what is the prize if you win the argument? Right? One person sleeping upstairs, the other person sleeping downstairs. The win is two people being able to get through their storm together and weather it through and be on the other side, right? Not to say the most French words to each other. You know what I'm saying? It's about really just being able to connect and be empathetic to one another versus trying to and show someone that you can fight better and that you're stronger.
Yes. It's funny. I heard this guy say the other day, he was sharing, like, if his partner was to cuss at him, that would be like a red flag and like sign and things of that sort. And I was like, there's some words that people could say that don't have no cuss words in it that can be just as bad.
You be
because when you love somebody, it can bring out some sides of you that you didn't know would come out of you. Yes. Like, you did what? You feel attacked. You feel violated. You feel disrespected. You got to defend yourself. However, if you remember the greater good of the situation that you're in, it's like, let's calm down. Let's talk. Let's be mature. Put the pride to the side.
That's the prize. Keeping it together. That is the prize. It's just really being self-aware. Because we can be self-aware at work. We can be self-aware when we in public when we don't want people to really see the real craziness of us. But can't we always be self-aware in our relationship, right? And I'm really speaking to my younger version of myself, and this version here is sometimes things slip out. It's just keeping it real, but it's important that we keep our ears open and our hearts closed, so that we can really, like you said, that bracelet. What would Jesus do? What would he want us to do? And honestly, we want to do everything in love, right?
And again, this is all relationships, friendships as well. We get some people that are dear to us and they stubbed our toe when we're upset. Do we really? Now, my thing is sometimes really knowing the people, So if I know this person, I know that their will is not, or intent is not to really harm me. It just happened. Do I really fly off the hoop and like go off? Sometimes there's something else going on. And because that happened, it was like, oh no, this has to go. But if I have a moment to calm down, evaluate the situation, have a conversation with the person, we can find out, I'm so sorry, it wasn't intentional. Like that was not my purpose. And then you find out, wait, what else is going on? Because we also have to pay attention to know what's going on with our friends and things. Sometimes we let stuff fly, and sometimes they are hanging on by a thread because nobody checked in on them.
Yep. But you know what? I think too, we all struggle with for something.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we're dealing with abandonment issues, rejection, isolation, whatever those things are. And you have a friend that do something that hit one of those, that's like stumping your toe. Stump your toe. You be like, oh, on the coffee table. Like you like lose your mind. So it's like when a friend does that to you, it's common for people to isolate and decide that I don't even want to be bothered with you. I'm just going to throw you away versus trying to work through it. I think that's when the push comes in. Yes. And the push comes in to just say, hey, I do value this relationship. And since I value this relationship, I'm going to say something. In our world, we call those things like cognitive distortions, like where we see things in black and white, all or nothing. And, we pretty much have this thought in our mind. We have a whole dialogue in our head without talking to the other person. And before you know, we done formed a conclusion. And we walking past the other person not speaking. They like, yo, what happened? But in your mind, you already had that conversation, but you had this part of yourself that wasn't trying to resolve anything. So it's important that we allow people to really tell us if what we're thinking is right. And if they tell us what's right now, go ahead, do whatever you feel you need to do, but don't go off assumptions.
Don't go off assumptions. I love it. The other part that I also try to tell people is that if you have processed something and you have come to a conclusion in your mind, and then you go talk to that person and share with them, you have to allow them time to process too. Because sometimes I'll say, Dr. Tina, it is over. We're not friends anymore because you did blah, 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 right? And I'm in my mind thinking it's great. I'm moving away. But then you process like, no, but this happened and that happened. Because in that moment, if you're bum rush with things, you don't have always enough time to really think about it. Because you might respond and might not say something that you wanted to say. So we have to be able to allow other people to process what we've already processed. Another time person was like, you know what? I think this is no longer good, or I want to ask someone like what their thoughts are regarding this. You've thought about it, you've built up the courage to go through it, but you have to allow that other person time as well, because they might not know the answer.
Yep. Time is important. We like to bombard people, and we don't want to be patient. I think patience is key. They say patience is a virtue. So we got to make sure we have that in our toolbox. And some of us don't even know what patience is. We got to look it up. We got to define it for ourselves so we can implement it in this thing called life.
Whew, so great. Love these conversations. Okay. What would be a reason for somebody to obtain mental health services, to go to therapy?
Since I specialize in anxiety and depression, from that perspective, that many people come to me when they're at the end of their rope, when they feel like they don't have anyone else to go to, when they feel that if they share their business with someone, they might as well go on Channel 6 News because everybody's going to hear it, know about it. And they come for therapy too, just to allow themselves to be vulnerable. How did T.D. Jakes say? Naked, right? They allow themselves to just be so transparent because ultimately they're coming because they want healing, right? And these are the ones that these individuals I'm talking about, the severely mental illnesses that we know about. But for my everyday folks that's coming in with the anxiety and depression, a lot of them just are in a state of hopelessness and they're looking for some hope.
Yeah. So with them coming where they feel like they're on their last string, though some people will come on their last string. It's like gas, right? Yeah. You're running low on gas. When your beeper goes off, letting you know, hey, so many miles empty, we wait until we at there 9 miles, 5 miles to go get filled up again.
1 mile.
I've done it one time. I ran out of gas. One time I said, never again. Because in my head, I was like, I got time. I'm going to go do it. And I did not have time. And it's not a good place to be. Stranded, trying to get to a gas station or call somebody to bring you some gas. So it's really important for us to know, getting back to that scale of knowing if I'm at a 4, if I'm at a 3, if I'm at a 2, to know, wait, I need to call to somebody. I need to reach out to somebody to get some support, because if I get to 0, if I get to 1, I might not be able to pull myself back up again. Yep. Right?
Yeah. Too many of us go through this thing called depression, or here it is. Maybe it's not even depression. Maybe something else that resembles it. And we find ourselves laying in a puddle of tears, right? And I see so many people come in here. They're laying in a puddle of tears. And let me just tell you what they're looking for. They're looking for someone to pull out. They're looking for someone to come rescue them because all through their life, they've been doing it for everybody else, doing this, doing that. And they're like, this time, I know people see that I'm laying in my tears. I want somebody to come rescue me. And they'll lay there and they'll lay there and they'll lay there and I'll challenge them. I'm like, listen, I know you want somebody to come rescue you. It's been for almost like a year now. We have to come to terms with the fact that they may not be coming in this season of your life. And since they're not coming, you have to also ask yourself, are you willing to stay in this tears? Or are you willing to stand up and see that that water ain't that deep? It's water that's not even coming to your ankles, but for whatever reason, you just want somebody to care. Can somebody just understand that I'm struggling? Can somebody just give me something? I don't care if it's a toothbrush. I don't care if it's a trash bag, but can you give me something while I'm going through my pain? That's what most people want, for someone to care. And I'm saying it in a real nice, polite way. But when I hear them tell me what they want, can someone just rescue me? And unfortunately, the rescue is not coming. Not in the way that they want it to come.
Yes. Oh, since we on this island, because there are some things that some people have done to us, right?
Yeah.
And they may not apologize.
Oh, no.
They don't even acknowledge that they did something wrong because they were just being them, keeping it real, keeping it 100 and things like that, right? But because we hold on to it and we expect them to come back, what if they don't come and rescue you?
Yes. Listen, I think we just have to come to a point and ask ourselves, how long are we going to sit and wait? And then when we make a decision, and really honestly, I know I keep putting a plug in for therapy, but when you come to therapy, it allows for you to process a lot. It allows for you to unpack a lot. And when you're processing and unpacking, it may even have to lead you down what we call forgiveness, right? Because what happens is when we hold on to stuff and we feel like you owe us something and we're angry, we're holding on so tight that we're not allowing lessons to keep running through, right? And if we really believe what God says to us, we know no matter where we are, he is with us and he's going to order our footsteps. And sometimes it's ordering our footsteps away from somebody, and maybe it's ordering our footsteps to somebody so we can have, again, that mature, courageous conversation with them, because ultimately we want to heal, because when we heal, it allows us to be able to do the purpose and the will of God that he has for us.
I like that. I was writing a little note. Order our steps away from somebody or order our steps to somebody.
Yes.
When I was talking to someone on Sunday, and she was sharing how she realized that even if I don't put the shoes on, God's still going to lead me where he wants me to go.
Yeah.
I said, whew.
Yeah.
Because he's going to order it away or he's going to order it too. Now, we fight against it.
Yes.
That's on us.
Yes.
You also said you was putting a plug in for therapy. Oh, we do that over here because we want to normalize it. Because we need to talk through some things. Sometimes we hold on to so much and then we're about to explode. And it's like, what's going on? We didn't let go of some of the stuff that was causing us to be tight,
Yeah, we feel like we need to hold it like a badge of honor. You did this to me, right? You ever like stop speaking to somebody and as a child, and here I am too. And I may stop speaking to somebody like at the age of 10, and then you see them now, and then you start to walk past them. I'm like, aren't we adults now? But then so I speak to you because you took their ice cream cone or whatever it is that you did, they still holding on to it, right? I just think sometimes we just got to be the bigger person, and being a bigger person isn't always easy. And being a bigger person doesn't mean that you being a punk, right? Sometimes people think, well, if you're the bigger person, you being a punk. Nah, it ain't about that. It's about just you having peace. It's about peace. The older I get, I don't care about no designer stuff. Let me buy some peace. Let me buy some joy. You get what I'm saying? Like, things just change, and whatever I can have that can usher me into that space, I'm all for it. Even if you think like that little punk, all right, I'll be that punk, but I got some punk. I'm a punk with some peace and joy.
Punk with some peace and joy. Peace and joy, peace and joy.
That's it.
Because it's nothing like having peace.
Nope.
Nothing like it. So refreshing, so rewarding. Another piece you talked about was depression. And I guess sometimes people don't feel like depression is real.
Oh, of course not.
Um,
Because
like
people
it's
think that you could just snap out of it, right? Like, and you know what? From the outside looking in,
yes.
you'd be like, really? But I think if we all was just to pause for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
to a place that we just wasn't our happy self, whatever that situation was, just think about somebody going through that 10 times. Depression is like walking around with cedar blocks all in your body, from your pedicure toes to your fingernails, that's tips, acrylic, whatever it is. It's from all through your body that you feel like you got cedar bricks all through your body. It's hard to move, and you can see something right in front of you, but it could take you forever to get there. And people are like, girls, just snap out of it. Man, just snap out of it. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. And everyone that goes through depression probably need a little something different to help them push through it. But it's total loss of hope and so many other factors that it's not just shake it off. Everybody's been depressed. They may not want to say it. Everyone has been sad. But
Yes.
everyone may not share their sadness with everyone because we're masks.
Yes.
We cover it
Yes.
up.
Mm-hmm.
We wear our mask to cover it up because if you really saw how jacked up, messed up I am, you may not like me. And I'm gonna be honest with you. If I'm having a rough day, I reach out to some people. They like, "Oh, you, yeah, me." But now I see I can't tell you, so I pack my marbles up and go take it to somebody else because we need to be able to talk to get it out. But sometimes people look at you and be like, "You, yeah, me." We ain't
Yes.
super people. We all go through something. And when I take my mask off, I want to be able to take it off and leave it on the couch, walk away from it, all that stuff. And you not look at me sideways or look like you ready to go tell the world about what's going on with me. And don't even say, "Oh, let me go to the group prayer and pray for you about it." You just doing that so everybody can know my whole business.
When I tell you tonight is for me, tonight is for me. It was a couple weekends ago. I had like 3 interactions with different people, and I was drained. You know, it was emotionally draining. I didn't have the capacity. I said, I'm peopled out. Somebody was like, "You get peopled out?" Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Because sometimes you're doing so much and you feel like you're being present for the people, but they need something different and they're not always vocalizing what it is they need. So then you're lost. It's like, I'm doing all these things and it's still not enough. I got to sit down for me.
Yep.
Because I would get frustrated. I'm getting overwhelmed. So you have to know your limits.
Yep. And we all have limits.
Yes.
We really do. We may not think we do, and we may think we Bionic Woman, Wonder Woman, those are superheroes in my days. I can't keep up with the ones now. But it's important that we know that we need to rest. And as I say that to you and everyone else that's listening, I'm saying it to myself. Because when we don't rest, our health suffers.
Come on.
So we got to make sure we rest so we can have a good bounce back.
Got it. So, and knowing, you know, you say that people sometimes come when they're like on it, what's in and things of that sort. How often should somebody check in on their mental health to say like something is a little off? Like how often should we do that scan? Almost like at the airport, check out like the whole scale of the body, find out, all right, is something off kilter? Like can we get in alignment? How often should somebody be aware or trying to find out if something's going on?
I think if we know thyself and we are connected with who we are, we can tell when we're off, right? And I think when it's like we take our car in, even though it's running good, take it in anyway. You getting the tires checked, then you getting the oil checked. Sometimes we don't check all those things. Because when we're talking about our mental health, we talk about our mind, body, and soul, right?
Yes.
So we want to make sure we talk about the emotional part, like how we manage our emotions and our feelings and all those different things. So for me, I would say first, I recommend people to go see their primary care physician. Talk to your primary care physician.
Yes.
And tell them what you feel. Don't just skip over stuff. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling this. I'm feeling like this. Whatever it is, be very, very specific. Because when you go to your PCP, they need to hear that. But what I love now, since COVID, everybody's on point with mental health. They ask you questions that they never asked. The disappointing part is that when you really hear that someone needs help, we lack resources. The resources is lacking. The wait list is long, and people can't really get the care that they need to be mentally well. Not everyone.
Yes.
Many can, but many can't.
Which is why, I kind of started with Jen Cares, the podcast, because I wanted to be able to show resources of where you could go, who offers this service. Because sometimes we don't know. We don't pay attention, or we don't think it's as important because it's like, oh no, just pray about it. Last month we did a Jesus in therapy. We have Jesus in therapy. Saints, we need people. We go to Jesus and a doctor. We go to the doctor, then we trust Jesus. Go to the therapist, but then trust Jesus. Because we need that balance to be able to really process through those thoughts and feelings. Because if Jesus really came and sat down in your room and started processing with you some of these feelings, you get overwhelmed a little bit.
You do. You do.
So you want to be able to reach out to somebody to help you, process through it, take your time with it, and things of that sort. And then it's all God, all right, these are the things that I want to try to do. I don't want to be depressed. I want to, be more cheerful about some of these situations because I don't have control over some of the stuff that I'm holding on to that's causing me to feel so sad. So I'm learning how to release those things, and that's a process.
Yeah, it
because
is.
It is. Linus blanket. It becomes our Linus blanket where we want to hold on to. That's what it was.
It becomes your Cabbage Patch. Remember that Cabbage Patch?
I still have it.
Yes. And you know what? Here it is. We just have to process some things. It's okay for us to hold on to, right? But then some things, like I do a backpack with my clients, and I have them. It's like images of bags, and you write what's in those bags, and you write how you want to unpack them. And then some things we just leave on the curbside. Let somebody just take it away and trash it. But we become emotional hoarders, right? We hoard on to so much because for whatever reason we just got used to carrying it.
And thought that we had to carry it.
Yep.
There's some experiences that we're holding on that we could have been let go of.
Yep.
But we hold on to it.
We hold on to them because they mean something to us, but in our mind we probably faked ourselves out that it meant something good. But what it is when we let it go, we don't have really anything else to fill that space, and that's okay. Now you're making room for more healthier things versus holding on to the things that hurt you. That's your relationships. That person ain't treating you right, and you're like, well, half a man is better than no man. This is better than that, right? You really got to ask yourself, evaluation of it, really, of the situation. Really, is half a man really better than not the whole man? And when I say half, I don't mean like his left and his right, but whatever qualifications and those characteristics that you really deem is necessary for you to feel like you really in it. Is it really like better? Is it really cool to say you have somebody? I'm not answering that question for you, but it's something to really think about. But most of the time, the answer is no, because most of us don't want to be alone. Here it is. We don't want to feel lonely, right? Because when we're lonely, we feel unloved, we feel uncared about. So if somebody just pops in, seeing you every day, and they see you once out of every 30 days, you're like, that's okay. Like you really, and that's not me making fun.
Right.
Just know your worth, know your value. It's so important.
Know your worth, know your value. I was talking to somebody, and again, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning, that challenge of doubting our worth, because we're comparing and contrasting ourselves to somebody else. And not being able to look in the mirror to know the amazingness of who you are. I even have to check myself sometimes. Like, Jennifer, you're doing a good job. You don't necessarily always pat yourself on the back, but it's moments that are coming up, so I'll be like, you handle that really well, girl. You're growing up. You're mature. You put your pride to the side. Because there's sometimes where you feel like you got time today, you want to be petty, but when you really can be at that moment of, this is going to make me stronger, letting that iron sharpen you when it's uncomfortable. And going through that process of being vulnerable. We struggle with being vulnerable because people have abused our vulnerability. Misused us in that moment because they saw that as their weakness. And though we were weak for the moment, it didn't mean that we were still less than. It was like we were processing what we was going through, getting the pieces together, figure out how to put that puzzle back together,
Yeah.
to then stand up and share.
Yeah.
Man.
But it's funny how sometimes our meekness can be misunderstood as weak, because
Ooh.
many of us are just loving and kind. And just so
Mm.
many people just can't handle you being loving and kind. Like, they want you to just come in, they just want you to come and just acting a fool, right? Because if you don't come in acting a fool, then they feel like they can mistreat you. But I do believe we train people how to treat, or we teach people how to treat us, right?
Yes.
And sometimes we teach people to just give us less than. So you gotta ask yourself, what kind of teacher are you when it comes to your life? Am I teaching people to treat me with respect? Am I teaching people to respect my boundaries? Or am I letting them know they can just walk right all over me because they can see? Let me just tell you this: people can smell it.
Mm.
They can, and you can notice some things. You ever see somebody say, especially when men, they like, I don't know what you call it when they had their swag and they like cracking on a girl. Again, I'm using old words. And so when they say something to the female, she like falling over hills, and all he said was, "Hey." And I sit and talk to a lot of men and women all day, and the stories that they tell me, it's like they know when someone has low self-esteem, low self-worth, and all those different things. You know what I mean?
Friends,
So yes.
don't let the hate get you. They gotta have a little bit more than the hate.
Yes.
Cause
Hey, right?
it happens. It happens. You're like, excuse me, miss, what's your name? Lucy even asked a couple more questions. Can I take you out tonight? Y'all went off the hay?
Yes.
Because he looked like he had it together, and then you found out he did not have it together. It was like, how did I get into this?
He had a
And
full
how do I get
body
out?
mask on, a full body mask that was covering everything. Right? And I'm sorry, I don't mean to just put it on the men. He or she.
Absolutely. I used to say people at grocery shop, when you go into the grocery store and you picking out your meats and things, so you take more time to figure out what chicken you're gonna get than you do picking out a mate and things of that sort. And it's just as important that you really go through it with a fine-tooth comb to find out if it is for you or not. We go through some things that was we thought was gonna be a lifetime, and it was a lesson. And then we have to look at the lesson 50, 11 million times because we still ain't learning the lesson and picking this bad weed. Like
it keep coming back. And you don't learn that lesson, it keep coming. But you're like, no, again.
Because we get it in different colors. Oh no, it was nice and purple. Let me go get it in green. Oh, it was nice and blue too. Let me go get it blue. And we're getting the same thing, not realizing we tangling ourselves up with the same problem.
Yep. And I tell people when they keep getting into these relationships that are highly dysfunctional, we do like relationship patterns. We circle it out and we look at each one and we look at what the themes are. We do like kind of like a qualitative approach, like looking at themes. So we can do research on ourselves, doing some research on ourselves, so we won't make the same. I'm not going to say we won't make the same, but we'll be more in front of it than as we were before.
Yes. And it's so good because it could come again, but you know how to handle it now. Like, oh, okay, let's talk about this. Because before you would let it go, let it ride, and then it causes problems down the line.
Yes, indeed.
This has just brought me so much joy tonight. You said, as we're approaching spring is on the way. I don't know what Phil, the groundhog, said, but spring is on the way. Because we're emotional hoarders. How can we prepare for the spring to get rid of some of those things that we're hoarding? Because spring cleaning.
That's it. Sit with yourself. Don't be so busy. Sit with yourself. Spend some time where you put the phone in the other room. You and I tell people to set the room up for yourself. Put some jazz on, some meditation music, light a candle, no distractions, no TV, and you just sit in that room and just sit with yourself. Many of us are afraid to sit with ourselves. Sit with yourself and ask yourself, what would you like in the next 90 days for yourself? What you need to do to get rid of some things, right? Like, it's funny, I buy all kinds of tights, a bunch of tights at home, right? And I was like, I don't even wear them. So I was sitting there. I was like, what color do I normally get? No matter how many colored tights I get, what color tights you think I always go for?
I'm going to say black.
That's it. So I got the black tights underneath all these other tights. And every time I go grab the black tights, I got to throw out all these other tights. And I totally destroyed my room. I said, sit. So they're all on the floor now. So when I go home, I put them in the Goodwill bag because I never really wear them. I
Mm-hmm.
normally just wear the black tights, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when you're cleaning, go for what works for you.
Yeah.
Don't just keep all that extra stuff, because then the extra stuff becomes a big bunch of mess. More stuff that you
Mm-hmm.
got to constantly clean out. I tell you, I'm getting rid of them. Just for the
Yes.
bulky ones. That's my spring cleaning.
I love it. I love it. Because, friends, as the season changes, we're changing, we're ever evolving. So you have to do this inventory to find out what needs to go with you in the next month. You know, we're coming to the end of February tomorrow. What needs to go
Yes.
in March with you? You know,
Yes.
January came, we said, oh, I'm going to do this. This is my resolution. This is my goal. I got this. 2023 is my year.
Yes.
And here we are about to approach March. What foolishness did we still allow to happen in January and February that we didn't let go?
Yep. And
What are
just
we
be
holding
bold.
on to?
Yep. And
Yes.
just be bold and brave enough, right? Bold and brave to just do
Oh,
the things that's necessary for us to just shift. And even if we don't shift all the way to where we desire to be, just a little step here, a little step here, a little shift here, ultimately we're going to get exactly where we need to be.
mm, 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 mm. So good. So good. What are some tips you would leave for those that are trying to become a boss of their mental, like trying to really gain the strength to handle their emotions, to say no, to get out of entanglements, to let go of grudges, to manage that depression? Um, what would be your words of wisdom for them?
I would say just be real with yourself. Be real. Wherever you are, not where you want to be, where you are right now. Be real. Where you are right now, then make a strong decision to say, you know what do I need? Like when I did that 1 to 10, here I am. I'm at a 4. Yesterday I was really at a 2. So I did something yesterday different than I did today that allowed me to shift. What was it? And then if you're like, well, hey, I'm still at a 2 yesterday and probably still be there tomorrow, just realize that and realize it's okay to get help, right? You can get help from your friends. You can get help from therapy. You can get help by so many different ways, but just identify where you are now. And if all you can think of is pain, then look at what it looks like for you, because we have an idea of what it looks like. We just may not feel that we can achieve it. Make sense?
We have an idea what it looks like, but don't feel like we can achieve it
Mm-hmm.
because we're doubting ourselves,
Yep.
lowballing ourselves. You know, I
Yep.
have to get myself together sometimes too, because I doubt, like, is that even possible, Jennifer? Can you really do that? You got a lot on your
All
plate already.
all things. And my Christians, y'all got to lean on God's word.
Mm,
All things are possible. He ain't say some.
mm.
He said all things. So it's important that remember that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We just gotta keep telling ourselves that. Even on a bad hair day, even on a no one lash on, one lash off day, even when we don't have none of that on,
Yes,
fearfully and wonderfully made. I ain't
yes,
say it, I said it.
yes.
He
We
said
gotta
he
be.
draw near to me, draw near to you, y'all. So whenever you going through, and I ain't trying to make this no Bible lesson, right? But I'm just telling you what works.
Mm,
And the word of God is what it is. So
mm. I told somebody that just today of how, like, when we're trying to negate negative thoughts and things, so you just have to be proactive with your positive thoughts. I am, like, because if we keep on saying I'm nothing, I'm nothing, I'm nothing, I'm not, we'll believe that. But if we say I am smart, I am intelligent, I am capable of handling my finances, we do the steps to maintain those things, but we have to speak those positive words, because if not, we'll get right into that pity party. We'll find somebody else to help us with the pity party, or somebody else to come along and be like, yeah, I don't got it like them. We're always going to be different. We're not going to be the same.
yep.
You know?
You gotta set the atmosphere.
Yes, come on.
You know what I mean? You gotta stir it up. And if you say
Mm,
negative stuff, you stirring up the negative atmosphere. What you say, what comes out of your mouth has power.
mm.
Don't let that negative stuff come out. Let that
Yes.
positive stuff come out. You don't believe it. Set the atmosphere.
Yes.
I'm serious. I be like,
Yes,
I
that's
need a
it.
bomb. Even when I ain't blowing up too much, right? But you just
Yes.
into the existence. And I'm not talking about all this. I'm talking about
Right.
like
Yes.
just what God says, right? Like that's it. You may
Yes.
say one thing, but God says something different. Who you gonna believe?
Who you going to believe? Whose report will you believe? Oh,
Yes.
you got to be able to speak that positive for yourself,
Amen.
friends. Even on your worst day. Like
Yep.
today was rough, but tomorrow will be better. Actually, this day is getting better. You know, I have a friend, I'm like, it's a good day. She's like, all right, you got 2 more times you can say that. It's a good day. It's a good day. She's like, all right. I said, it's a wonderful day. Why? Because I want to proclaim that it's a good day. It's a wonderful day. It's an amazing day, no matter what's really going on. Oh, this was so good. Dr. Tina, are you accepting new clients? How can people connect
I
or get connected with people you know?
Sure. So I am accepting. I have a group practice, so we're always taking new clients.
Okay.
You can go to Dr. Tina Scott, LPC, or you can just give my office a call at 215-519-2531.
Give me that number one more time.
Okay, it's 215-519-2531.
So sorry. What's the first three? 215.
519-2531.
I was making sure I had the right number. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
We don't want to give them the wrong information. Friends,
They by her
if
phone.
you need to, connect with somebody, Dr. Tina, and it's really important. Like I always share, try it out. You don't have to go, you go as frequently as you need because sometimes people overwhelm themselves with trying to go so many times. When you go, make sure it's impactful. Make sure you're being honest. Make sure you're being open. Because if you're not sharing truthfully, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
Okay? So you got to go and be honest. I'm not going to tell you whether or not we can tell when people be honest, not being honest, but because they ain't the judge. You're going to get it out, what you put in.
That's right.
So if you put in some French fries, you're going to get back some French fries. But if you put in some chicken, some macaroni, some cheese, some milk, you're going to get some macaroni, cheese, and some chicken back. You want someone that's going to really help sustain you to keep you going forward in this thing called life.
Yep.
Oh, this was amazing, Dr. Tina. I thank you so much for joining us. Please be sure to connect. I promise. It's worth it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate this space.
Yes. I thank you so much. I know you had an event, so I thank you for taking the time to come on over and still share with the world your amazing knowledge as a mental boss. This conversation did me glad. I can't wait to listen to it again.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. May you have a great evening.
You too. And thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, friends, we had the amazing Dr. Tina. She's thebomb.com. She had another event going on, but she made sure that she popped over to be able to share some wisdom and knowledge with us. I hope that something was shared that caused you to know the importance of managing your mental health, friends. We're always going to normalize it over here. Very good. So awesome. Good to hear. Thank you, friends, for tuning in. I want you to really take heed to what was shared and scaling our feelings. Google a feelings chart to find out what the different feelings are and finding out where you find yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. If you're at 5, okay. If you're at 4 and below, let's talk about that to find out how we can get that higher. All right. Because life be lifing, things do happen. So it can become overwhelming with this thing called life. But I don't want you to give up. I don't want you to count yourself out. I don't want you to lose hope. I don't want you to lose faith. Why? Because I believe in you and you can make it through. All right. Don't forget our quote of the day. There is hope, even when your brain tells you there isn't. There is hope, even when your brain tells you there isn't. Also, don't forget our Black History Fact person of the month, of the night, Dr. Mark Dean. He's an American inventor and computer engineer who developed the ISA bus, and he led a design team for making a 1 gigahertz computer processor chip. He holds 3 of 9 PC patents for being the co-creator of the IBM personal computer released in 1981. So today we honor Dr. Mark Dean. Friends, be sure to, a couple more things. If you have a topic or want to be a guest reach out to me at info@chozencounselors.com. We are scheduling for May now, so we are on it and rocking. And for March, our theme is I'm Still Marching. Check out what we have coming your way.
Left, right, left.
Last year we were marching. This year we are still marching. Tune in to the Jen Cares March series, I'm Still Marching. On Monday, March 6th, we will have Fumi Sahib for Encourage Yourself. Monday, March 13th, we will have Kelly Miles as she joins us for Surviving in Spite of. On Monday, March 20th, we will have Dr. Kia Everett for Self-Care. We will close out with Beverly Francois Alston for Dream Again on Monday, March 27th. Tune in on Facebook or on YouTube by searching Chozen Counselors on Mondays at 8 p.m. Be sure to mark your calendar and tell a friend, as this Jen Care series is brought to you by Chozen Counselors.
All right, friends, so be sure to join us next week as we kick off our March series, I'm Still Marching. Before I go, I just want to say thank you so much again. Someone reached out to me and shared that their organization wanted to donate to Chozen. And, I was like, if it's $1, I'm grateful, because I'm just grateful to be able to offer services to people and to show love and consideration to others. And something came in the mail today, and I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude. So I thank you for those that tune in. I thank you for those that support. I thank you for those that put my name in rooms that I have yet to enter. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I love you. And I hope that you continue to enjoy what we're doing over here, bringing the community to you. I love you all. May you have a great evening, a great week. Why? Because you are built for this. You are chosen for this. And it is now time to boss up. I love you. Good night.
Friends, we thank you for joining Jen Cares this week. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Unable to watch us live? Be sure to find us on your favorite podcast platform. You can also visit our website, chozencounselors.com. That's Chozen with a Z, so that you can stay in the know and, most of all, never miss a show. If you found value in this episode, we'd appreciate you sharing it with a friend. Most of all, be sure to tune in for our next episode next Monday at 8 p.m. right here, as we specialize in bringing the community to you.